Dustin Hopkins shrugged off a hamstring injury and kicked 4 field goals, including a 39-yard game winner in overtime, and the Chargers pulled into a first-place tie in the AFC West with a 19-16 victory over the Denver Broncos at SoFi Stadium on Monday Night Football. Hi, I'm James of Faithful Angelino Sports with a rapid recap of Chargers football, and if you enjoy talking about the Bolts, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We talk about the Chargers here. The Chargers have caught the Kansas City Chiefs, each with 4-2 records to lead the AFC West. Now, normally, if you make an argument that your kicker was probably the best player on the field, rest assured it was a brutal game. And frankly, it was a pretty bad game to watch. We can't lie about it. But let's not use that as an excuse to take anything away from Hopkins, because it might have been the grittiest performance I've ever seen from a kicker. I mean, with each swipe of the guy's leg, he's grabbing the back of his leg because he's in pain, he's falling back to the turf, shrugs it off, and still kicks 4 field goals. Without him, simply put, the Chargers do not win. But in terms of style points, we're just going to have to be honest and say ugly victories are still going to be victories at the end of the year, and you're not going to you're not going to remember whether it was pretty or not. There was not a lot to like about this game because, in my opinion, Denver controlled the pace of this game. And what I mean by that is their defense came in, say, 3rd in the NFL in yards allowed. So they profoundly impacted Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles offense. The Chargers gained just 297 yards. Austin Eckler scored the only touchdown for the team on a 6-yard carry in the second quarter. But the Broncos, who fell to 2-4, have extreme problems on offense. So when they went out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter, you never really had the impression that Denver was in complete control of the game. They too managed only 1 touchdown. UCLA graduate Greg Dulcich made his NFL debut tonight, and he caught a 39-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. However, Wilson finished with just 188 passing yards, and the Broncos gained just 258 yards total. If you think about it, this is just the latest outing for Wilson that has basically brought questions across Colorado as to whether or not he was worth the trade. He was the crown jewel of Denver's offseason. The Broncos sent 6 draft picks and players to Seattle in order to get him. And yet he's off to the worst start of his career in a number of categories. But ultimately, it wasn't Wilson and it wasn't Herbert who decided the game. A foolish muffed punt in overtime put the Chargers in position to win. Montrell Washington collided with his own teammate while trying to catch a punt. LA recovered the ball deep in Denver territory, and that set up Hopkins. Other things that would turn your stomach, because there was a lot of things that would make your stomach churn in this one. Denver committed 151 yards in penalties. And LA, by the way, they were not much cleaner. The Chargers gave up 89 yards in penalties. Another thing, LA was hoping that it had cleaned up its problems in the running game, because the last 2, Eckler was pretty dominant. Not so tonight. They only rushed as a team for 73 yards. For that matter, Pat Surtain Jr. limited Mike Williams to just 2 receptions and 17 yards. Remember, Williams had become the top receiver on the Bolts by default because Keenan Allen has been rehabilitating a hamstring injury for the last 5 weeks. And no Chargers game would be complete without Coach Brandon Staley going for it on 4th down, much to the chagrin of everybody wearing powder blue. He went for it on 4th down in the 4th quarter when the Chargers were in field goal position with the game tied. Now, I recognize again, Hopkins was injured, but had Staley summoned Hopkins instead and had the kicker converted the field goal, there would never have been a need for overtime in the first place. So Staley didn't cost them the game, but his decision, the latest in a long line of 4th down head scratchers, Well, you can complete the thought for me. But again, over the course of an NFL season, you want any victory any way you can get it. Just ask the Rams on Sunday, for Pete's sakes, right? So to repeat, the Chargers are in a first-place tie in the AFC West with a 19-16 victory over Denver. Let me know what you think about this game in the comments thread. And if you enjoyed this rapid recap, and if you enjoyed talking Chargers football, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelino Sports. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelinos is a Quién Corte El Queso production. Take care.